The Federal and Francis Xavier Engineering College jointly present the Nellai Marathon 2024. This event is powered by Little Flower Public School and NIMS Hospital, Tirunelveli. Run for Health on Sunday, December 29. Entry is free and all are welcome.
Hello and a warm welcome to Federal's special program, Capital Beat. Now, let's talk about Bangladesh, which has told India that it wants Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who fled to New Delhi in August, back in the country for judicial process. Now, the acting head of the country's foreign ministry, which is Tahood Hussain, he has said that we have sent a note verbal to the Indian government saying that the Bangladesh government wants Sheikh Hasina back for the judicial process. In fact, MEA has confirmed that they have received a note verbal from the Bangladesh High Commission in connection with the extradition request, but they have also added that at this point of time, they have no comment to offer on this matter. So the big question is that is former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's extradition next to impossible, or is it really a big challenge for the Modi government? What are the factors which can play out in the extradition of Sheikh Hasina? We'll try and find out. Joining me now is Professor Aftab Kamal Pasha, international affairs expert. Thank you so much for joining, sir. We have Sanjay Kapoor, another international affairs expert and veteran journalist. Thank you so much, Sanjay, for joining. And I'll begin with Professor Pasha, that this particular request which has come in from Bangladesh in very clear terms that send Sheikh Hasina back for the judicial process. Now, what does it mean for India and Bangladesh as well?
Well, at the outset, it is very clear. It is very simple language that we want this person for various activities during her tenure as Prime Minister. So it is state-to-state correspondence. This happens between many countries who have signed mutual extradition treaties. We have received this from Gulf countries in a number of cases, and also we have sent to Canada, to US, and to many other countries also. So this has to be seen as a normal thing. But what makes this as unusual is the close proximity India had with Bangladesh during Sheikh Hasina's tenure as Prime Minister for a decade and a half. And she completely identified herself with India, and particularly with the NDA government here, and alienated the opposition there, and also interested external powers like the United States and others who have developed a vested interest in exploiting the domestic situation there, and probably helped engineer the coup which brought the students and Muhammad Yunus to power. And a series of developments since 5th of August, after she fled to India and we gave asylum, attacks on minorities and the deployment of Turkish-made drones on West Bengal and on the Chicken's Neck in the northern part, Mymensingh area, and a whole lot of developments concerning Pakistani ships arriving at Chittagong port, and what Bangladesh intends to do with China and our not so friendly neighbors also are closing in with the Dhaka new regime. So we have received this, and it is up to the MEA and particularly Modi government. It is a very embarrassing thing. We cannot abandon a close leader, ally, strategic partner to the whims of the students who have launched a tribunal, so-called international tribunal, which has listed.
Professor Pasha, do you see any roadblock? Do you see any hurdle, as far as the Modi government is concerned in putting the extradition in process? What are the factors which could play out in the minds of the Modi government?
Well, there are three simple things. One is to accede to the request of the Bangladesh government. Second, to say no flatly and cite some provisions in the extradition treaty. There are some loopholes some legal experts are talking about it. And the third one is to deny her presence in India if she decides to leave Delhi to some other place. So, but nevertheless, it is a major challenge for the Modi government for having landed this in unnecessary issue, because from the very beginning it was very clear that giving asylum to her would further deteriorate the bilateral relationship, and the Bangladesh government is at her. And also, she made the things difficult for herself by giving controversial statements on the internal situation in Bangladesh when she is no more in control of the affairs there in our neighboring country. She should have, as suggested by Muhammad Yunus, she should have kept quiet. This is what they urged in the beginning and for quite some time.
Right.
But we should have also cautioned the former Prime Minister to lie low for some time.
Right. And since she's not lying low, Sanjay, I'll come to you now. That what are the problems which India could face, supposing if India doesn't send her back? That is the biggest issue. What is going to be the impact on India-Bangladesh ties? Already, it has suffered a big blow. How low can it go? From here on, if the extradition is doesn't get heeded too by the Indian government.
My contention is that, if you remember, Vikram Misri, our foreign secretary, had visited Dhaka not too long back. And one of the things that was discussed was whether Hasina would be extradited or not, or what really happened. As Professor Pasha pointed out, the Bangladeshis were very touchy about Begum Hasina speaking from Delhi and using her position to stoke trouble for them. They've been complaining to India for quite a while. Seemingly, the meeting of Mr. Misri to Dhaka did not produce a desired result. He was not able to get anything done with the Bangladeshi government when it came to Hasina, because the reason why these people, the Dhaka has sent a note verbal, is primarily because things didn't happen the way they anticipated. In fact, it's a suggestion that Mr. Misri's conversation did not take place in that desired direction. So, in my reckoning, this is a major challenge for the BJP government that rules Delhi, and they would find it very difficult to turn down the request for extradition, primarily because there were long-standing treaty with India and Bangladesh, and they have been responsible for sending out all the terrorist requests that we keep making from time to time. In fact, the entire Ulfa movement got compromised primarily because the Bangladeshis were very forthcoming in sending all these militants used to go cross over to the other side. So it's a very active relationship which is there between India and Bangladesh. The fact if India doesn't really entertain the request from Bangladesh, I can tell you it will show a collapse of the relationship between the two of them, primarily because Bangladesh is very, very touchy on this issue. And if you go by what Professor Pasha has said, they are looking at different friends. They're looking at restoring ties with Pakistan. Two ships have already come to Chittagong Harbour. They're building close ties with China, and there are many more things that are likely to happen. So I think that India has to weigh the issue very closely. One way that you can really deny extradition is if there is some court case or some legal issue which is pending in India. But I wonder what really can happen. Otherwise, she would have to leave India and go elsewhere, find asylum in a country which doesn't have extradition treaty with Bangladesh.
But do you think that India can stop and not listen to Bangladesh at all? Modi can think of shifting Sheikh Hasina maybe to some other country with which a country like which doesn't have an extradition treaty with Bangladesh. Can that be an option? Or Modi will continue to allow Sheikh Hasina to reside in Delhi and not notice at all whatever the request has come from Bangladesh? Yes,
What
Sanjay.
Mr. Modi will do, what Mr. Modi will do if he doesn't give permission to his MEA officers to respond to it and say that he cannot extradite Hasina back to Bangladesh, will be seen as a hostile act. It will be seen as an act which is provocative by the Bangladeshis. So it's not going to become very easy. They'll have to find a valid reason for stopping it. Otherwise, you would find a situation where such treaties would not get any traction anywhere, because India will set a wrong precedent of a treaty being questioned in such a manner. So it is not so easy to do that. As I said, normally what happens, there would be some lawyer who would probably say that there's some issue that can be brought up to show that there is a legal case which has to be settled in India, and only after that she can go. But I don't know whether there's any case pending in India against Hasina or not. Otherwise, she'll have to probably go away to some other country, or maybe stay put with the Modi government standing by. I read a diplomat claiming in the morning that India should not even consider sending her out, because it will convey a wrong message that you allow a guest to go to a hostile region, and that will in a certain way undermine India's perception about how do they conduct diplomacy and foreign policy.
Right. So, I mean, according to what you're saying just now, that people have started talking that even if Modi government sends Sheikh Hasina to some other country, it will send out a wrong message on the strategic diplomacy. Now, coming to you, Professor Pasha, that is it really a big challenge now for Modi to handle this extradition call and the demand for the extradition? Is it really a tough call, and now Modi doesn't have an option, but they will have to decide on something this way or that way?
No, as you pointed out in your question, Modi government has the option of just sleeping on it. They need not react to it and behave like what Netanyahu has been doing, whether it is United Nations or ICC or ICJ or international public opinion, or even his close ally Biden, who has been pleading for ceasefire for more than a year. So he can do that, and what will happen is our claim to be the largest democracy and rules abiding country and aspirant to UN Security Council membership, and our international legitimacy as leader of the global south, all of these things will take a dent. But my concern is, you see, we have as a member state of the United Nations, we normally deposit the treaties with the United Nations. So this treaty, extradition treaty, I think has been deposited with the United Nations, and likewise Bangladesh also has done. So, you see, as I said, the interested hostile countries in this region may support Bangladesh's attempt to raise this issue in the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, which could, besmirch our reputation, and also at the larger venue of United Nations. It might go there also. It has the potential of being raised. So it has larger implications on our foreign policy, and as an aspirant for regional or global leadership in this situation. So, you see, I have studied one or two cases from the Gulf countries where they had wanted criminals who were hiding in India, and we took quite some time to consider that. It's not the first case, and we wanted detailed details of the criminals the two Gulf countries wanted. And I understand that it took more than 2 years, because we wanted what were the crimes they had committed, and a detailed charge sheet, and so on and so forth. So in this case, it is just note verbal of short 2-3 lines. So if the government wants to consider it seriously, they may ask for more response. Why is it that you want this individual? And also question the legitimacy of the so-called international tribunal which they have constituted, and the list of disappeared people or other individuals who were tortured or suffered during her regime. This is a normal procedure wherever there is overthrow of the government. But having studied some cases in Africa, it hasn't taken this extradition issue very far, even when they have signed extradition treaties. So there are plenty of cases, loopholes, and buying time for the MEA to dodge this issue and talk to the main actor, that is the United States, where Jaishankar would be going very soon, to see what is it that the United States want from us, and see this can be quietly frozen. That is where the real key, in my perception, lies, and I
So what
think
is
the right
so
decision is to send the external affairs minister there.
right, but Professor Pasha, does it mean that after Jaishankar returns from US, then only they will take a call, and which is why they just skirted that question and they said that we don't have anything else to offer more than this particular comment that yes, we've got a demand for, we've got a note on the extradition of Sheikh Hasina. So does it mean that after Jaishankar returns, there could be something tangible on this front?
Yeah, I think so. Having been part of the MEA for some time and been there in consultation on many issues, that is most likely, and I think that would be the option.
Right. Okay, another factor which is there, in this entire story is the Adani factor. Now, Adani had projects had stakes in Bangladesh, and now since the Bangladesh government is also not very cordial, his projects are also are in a limbo, and we do not know which way they are heading. But could Adani's projects also be a contributing factor that maybe Modi will be forced to, protect Hasina anyhow, Sanjay?
It's possible to link Mr. Adani with that because Mr. Adani has been writing on a foreign policy in the neighborhood and elsewhere. But what I want to come back to is that failure of Indian diplomacy and intelligence to a large extent. They failed to figure out many issues. Surely Mr. Misri must have gone, and like it has been the case with dealing with the neighborhood, there's always a very muscular approach, and it's not so conciliatory. So Bangladesh under new dispensation wants to look India in the eye and do pretty much what they want to do. So when it comes to the extradition case, I'm sure there must be a court order which must have been appended with the note verbal. It must not have come on its own because the extradition treaty demands that there has to be some legal basis for doing it. But it is something that really will cause problems between India and Bangladesh. It's not going to go away so easily. And surely Mr. Adani's intervention may be required to some extent, not only to save Hasina, but also their own project, which is also in a state of limbo, because the Bangladesh government is investigating into how the project was granted to them and what are the kind of rates that they have been given for. They think the power that they've been buying is far more expensive than what should have been. So there is a smell of corruption which is going there. In case if the situation gets worse, even the Adani case would be listed as one of the reasons why Hasina should be extradited to Bangladesh. Otherwise, there would be factors which very unsavory, many of them, which could make India's relationship with Bangladesh worse than what it is.
So, Professor Pasha, what would you really say towards the end? And this is my concluding comment from you that this whole call for Sheikh Hasina's extradition now, has it really put Modi under a lot of pressure now? Because first and foremost decision they can't take, but they will have to take some time. But eventually, will they take some call? And is there a possibility that they might have to send Sheikh Hasina back to Bangladesh?
As of now, I don't think so, because that will open up a Pandora's box. If Sheikh Hasina is sent back, not only the people who have died or disappeared, that will be a big issue, but also various aspects are related now, whether it is trade deals and interference of Indian security forces, intelligence agencies there. It will open up all unnecessary issues. In my perception, this was completely avoidable. this asylum to Sheikh Hasina was avoidable, and I think it is again at the spur of the moment. Probably Modi decided to give asylum because I don't think the MEA officials have put their point of view there because I don't think MEA would have agreed to this kind of a hasty decision to give asylum. This is unnecessary headache. Like we are saddled with the problem, same issue like the Khalistani issue with Canada, United States, and earlier with Qatar on the 8 ex-Navy men who were charged and sentenced to death. Like this, all of these hiccups, problems in bilateral relations are increasing. So there is this mismatch between what Modi wants as the Vishwaguru and what the MEA wants to run. So there is, I think, lack of coordination between the two Prime Minister's office and the MEA, which needs to be ironed out because this will land us in more soup in other countries. Already we had problems with Maldives, with Sri Lanka, and with Nepal and Bhutan, and so on and so forth. It shows that Modi wants a particular line of approach, and the MEA wants. You remember on October 7th last year, Prime Minister Modi immediately condemned Hamas attack and praised Netanyahu, so on and so forth. But MEA had to step into the picture and issue a statement that clarified the situation. So in that way, here also, I think MEA was helpless when Modi decided to immediately grant asylum, and now we are facing the music. So in that way, it's a very big challenge, and I have felt that she should not stay here because this will create more problems for bilateral relations, and also it may internationalize, and more mud will be thrown on us when we have done so much to regain our leadership role globally.
Right. But one last bit, Sanjay, and then I'll wind up the show. That what are the dangers if to India if Modi continues to give asylum to Sheikh Hasina, doesn't extradite her or doesn't shift her to any other country? What are the problems for India which you foresee?
I think there will be major problems. Over the last few years, since the time she's been in power, the last 15 years, India's connectivity with Bangladesh has improved quite a bit. So many of those projects should come to become a casualty. The bridges that are coming up, that was all meant to end the threat that the chicken neck poses to India, which is about a 11, 12 kilometer stretch, which kind of, if China wants to knock it off from Dokla Doklam, it could be a problem. So Bangladesh was helping us ride over it quite a bit. And then there is so many other issues. We've been a beneficiary of major trade from India. Then, as we talked about the Adani thing, then you have Tata's investing. So many of them will really become a major casualty. I was talking to Bangladeshi some time back, and I said, "Why are you doing this?" Nika, you just keep waiting. This is going to get worse in the coming days. I don't know what the worst is going to look like.
We'll have to wait and
Again,
see.
just 1 second point, one
Yes,
second. Yeah, as it's, it is also going to be a major strategic challenge in the Northeast because already
absolutely.
Myanmar is boiling, and with Chinese claims on Arunachal Pradesh and American desire to have a large air base or naval base in this region, they are bound to create problems. As many are speculating, these Pakistani ships, which are single container, we don't know whether weapons are coming and how they'll impact our security in the Northeast. So Northeast is going to be in turmoil, along with what Sanjay pointed out as the chicken's neck. So it has geopolitical, geo-economic, and geostrategic implications for our Act East policy also.
Right. So we'll have to wait and see how things unfold. Thank you so much, Professor Pasha. Sanjay, it was wonderful having you on the program. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this discussion, subscribe to our channel, send us a feedback, and stay tuned to the Federal.
The Federal and Francis Xavier Engineering College jointly present the NLA Marathon 2024. This event is powered by Little Flower Public School and NIMS Hospital, Tirunelveli. Run for Health on Sunday, December 29. Entry is free and all are welcome.